Hey, what's good, everybody? Brant here with CPC Bodybuilding, the home of men's classic physique. So today, got another edition of This Week in Classic Physique for you guys. Going to be going through the show results from this past weekend. We had 3 Classic Pro shows, and 2 guys earned their Olympia qualifications. One guy won his second show of the year. So, pretty exciting things happening in Classic right now. Also, going to detail the upcoming pro shows for this next weekend, July 4th weekend. So we got the Orlando Pro. We've also got the Huanji China Pro, as well as the Mr. Big Evolution Portugal Pro. So 3 more classic shows, plus one of the biggest national qualifiers here in the United States every year, hosted by Bev's Gym, which is one of the best gyms in the world. So that is going to be NPC Universe. So the men's divisions go on Saturday. So Classic Physique is going to go on Saturday, and we'll see new Classic Physique pros. So specifically, we're going to get 8 new Open Classic Physique pros. So just the 2 guys per class. So we've got classes A through D. 2 guys get their pro cards, top 2 in every class. So that's always an awesome show with plenty of talented amateurs making their way to that one, and then guys who end up going on to being very solid classic pros come from that show. So you guys are going to want to follow along with that as well. But yeah, let's jump into it, guys. So I had the pleasure of attending the Indy Pro this last weekend, which was definitely like the premier show of the weekend. So I've got some footage from that show for you guys. And we'll just highlight, we'll go through, talk about the placings in the show, why the judges went the way they did, and kind of just go through the scorecard a little bit because some interesting things were going on at the show, some good debuts and whatnot. So let's let's jump into it, guys. So, like I said, we had the Indy Pro last weekend. I was there covering it. I'm trying to get out to more shows, especially the shows close to me, like Indy. It was just a few hours drive for me. So, you guys are going to see me more at some of these shows in the future, hopefully. It's a lot easier for me to do this when I'm not competing as well. Currently in an off season, so it's a little bit easier to travel and cover some of these shows too. So, Indy Pro, like I said, was this past weekend, and we had Tyler Johnson winning his second show in a row. Tyler he's one of those guys who I don't think you can really appreciate how good he is until you see him in person. He and I were talking after the show, and he made some really good points to me. He was like, "Dude, I was really glad that you came to this show because, like, the last show, the Body B1 that he won the week before, the lighting was not very good, and it kind of washed a lot of guys out and didn't really highlight just how good these guys look in person." And as a bodybuilder myself, I understand that you can't always take photos for what they are, especially with different types of physiques, different types of complexions and whatnot. But the Indy Pro lighting was crisp, guys. This was a badass show. Like, for real, when I say this, I completely like mean this wholeheartedly, and this is not just because I had a great experience. This was arguably the best show that I've been to in terms of a pro show outside of the Arnold Classic as well as the Olympia. So the lighting here is great. And our top 10 right here. So we had Tyler Johnson winning this show, his second win of the year. He's going to be going for a third. And then next we had Eric Avalon. So big congrats to Eric. Eric has pretty consistently been like that guy who's in the 5 to 10 spot in many of these pro shows. And a second place finish here was fantastic for Eric. I think this is his all-time best. And he definitely tried some different things this contest prep, and they worked out very well for him. In third place out of Canada, we have Blake Course. Big fan of Blake's structure, great condition. We'll get to kind of what separated this top call out a little bit later. We'll look at the scorecard as well as some of the footage that I took. And then Andre Oliveira out of Brazil, man, this kid is really, really something special. Fourth place in a lineup where the top 3 are just pretty seasoned classic pros. Blake Tyler having gone to the Olympia. Eric is pretty consistently a first call out guy. And Andre was just a crowd favorite, man. Great structure, condition was there, fullness was there, great stage presence, really nice guy too. I had the chance to talk to him. I think he's got a really bright future. A lot of people like this guy's physique, and for good reason. I mean, he's just very structurally sound. He's got good lines, very balanced, exactly what you look for in classic physique. And I think this guy's gonna go to the Olympia here within the next year or two. I have no doubts about that. In fifth place, we had one of the best natural athletes in the world. He's won the Ben Weider a couple of times, been to the Olympia, been to the Arnold Classic. This is Lenny Wicks. Lenny is just crazy big for a natural guy, just super dense, great condition. Like this guy packs on a lot of muscle that I don't think I didn't realize how big he was until I saw him in person. Like this dude's massive, and he's not the most structurally gifted guy, but he does what he needs to do. He diets hard, he trains hard, he takes care of his recovery, and he's just very fundamentally sound. He does what works, and he takes care of the things that need to be taken care of. In sixth, Antonio Cummings. I'm a big fan of Antonio's physique. I don't think this shot right here, the lighting kind of hits him a little off, and he's not hitting down on his quads that hard. But Antonio brought great condition to the show. He has really good structure, a lot of width, and he made some really good changes from Oklahoma to this show, which moved him up in placing. I gotta take my hat off to him. He and I were talking about kind of just making some of those adjustments to posing, and particularly in his back double, he made the necessary adjustments, and he was rewarded. Moved up a couple of placings in a really tough lineup. In seventh, we had Laconia Seymour. I think this is probably his best yet. And we were talking about how light he was for the show. He was under 180 pounds, and I don't think he's ever been that light for a show. But this was a great look for him. Very conditioned. He brought great fullness. His structure's there. Like I think the quads are crazy on this front shot. Very, very impressive. In eighth, we had Keith Jenkins. So this is Keith's first call out as a pro, and I think this is a great group to be with. So Keith is very, very good structurally. He always comes in sharp. Back double bicep is probably my favorite pose from him. He's got a good front double as well. In ninth, we had Brian Waters. And then in 10th, we had Devon Causey, another natural guy. Packs on a lot of muscle. He's a shorter guy, but definitely held his own here. So again, guys, this was such a great show. I can't say enough good things about, one, the show itself and the production, the venue, but the promoters of the show really, really had the athletes in mind, and they take care of their athletes. And that's at the pro level as well as the amateur level. So if you guys are looking for a show ever to do, especially as a pro, this is a great show to do. So would highly recommend it. They're definitely going to have Classic back next year. They've already confirmed the date for June next year. And then also, if you're in the NPC and looking to qualify for a summer national show like Universe or USA's, this is a really great way to do it. But let's get into kind of this first, so this top four specifically. So this was at I believe this was pre-judging. No, this was the footage I took at finals actually. So this is our top four, our final call out, and really, really fun comparisons here. So we got Eric Avalon there on the far left. We got Blake Course there, center left, Tyler Johnson, center right, who won the show, and then Andre Oliveira on the far right. Now, what you're going to see here is just like a lot of different looks from a classic perspective. Now, what I think Tyler won the show with, and you'll see it in some of these shots, is just density, graininess, and hardness. He was like the fullest guy there too. Like Tyler has this extra pop to his muscle that, I think these other guys didn't necessarily have in this show. Eric also has really good pop to his muscle, so to speak, like just his muscle insertions and everything in terms of like bubbliness. And I think that's probably what gave him the edge over Blake here. But, you can see that Blake and Andre are both very structurally sound. I would say those guys probably have the best structure out of, the four here. Just like the feedback from the judges was that Blake's posing wasn't quite where it needed to be. There were some adjustments that he had to make. And, really, I think his peak was on point. It's just, you gotta adjust a few of the poses and maybe come back better if you want to push past that top three. But I really have to commend Tyler and Eric in this showing. I think we saw great physiques from them, probably both of their best ever. And although I think I've seen Eric probably a little bit more conditioned before, I do think this is probably his best balance of like fullness, condition, and just overall like making the improvements where they needed to be made. Plus his posing, I have to shout out Eric for that. He's done such a great job improving his posing. This back double bicep right here, he's done so much to improve that, and it looks a lot better. It really was like his weakest pose for the longest time, but I mean, he's brought that up so much, and I got to give him a shout out for that. And what's really cool about this is Andre also just he holds his own with these guys. Like Andre actually did end up getting a third place vote, which is pretty exciting. So, it was a pretty close show across the board. Now I'll pull up the scorecard right here, as you guys can see. So we see here that Tyler Johnson there at the 9 spot. So he finished in first with a total of 3. So in case if you guys aren't familiar with how bodybuilding judging works, so in this case, if you see a total score, most of the time scorecards are gonna add up to you're gonna have 5 scores that they're tallying or 3 scores. In this case, there were 3 scores. So here, how things work is judges basically just place people like where they have them. So the 3 middle scores, so the top score and the bottom score were dropped from the judges because there's a panel of 5. So they just keep the 3 middle ones. So basically the 3 middle scores here had Tyler all winning this show. So unanimous perfect score across the board there, which is 3, which puts him in first place. Now, if you go to where we see Eric right here, if he had a perfect score, it would be a 6 right here, right? But you see here, it's an 8. So what that says, and then you look at Blake, who is down here with a 9, only 1 point separated Eric and Blake, respectively, in second and third place. So what that says to me is that there was only one more judge that had Eric ahead of Blake. So that was basically splitting hairs. It was a pretty close decision between those two. And then further, if we look at Andre here in fourth place, he had 11 in fourth. So if it were a perfect fourth place, so to speak, with all of the middle 3 judges putting Andre in fourth, he would have a 12, but his score is actually lower than that, suggesting that he had at least 1 third place vote. So Andre was also right in the mix with these guys. So the 2 through 4 in this show was very, very close, but Tyler was the clear winner. And I think, if we look at just his overall like fullness and presentation, like it was just nutty to see in person, man. I gotta say, like, Tyler did a fantastic job with this look. And again, the quality of the muscle is something that's really, really hard to appreciate until you see it in person. The lines are crisp. We were even talking, like, he said he's like, maybe I'm not the most structurally gifted guy, but I do have like all this other stuff. I would even say that structurally he's pretty good. Like, he may not be like a Chris Bumstead where it's just like structurally, like 99 overall, where it's like you could not make better structure. Like, yeah, he doesn't have the best structure, but his structure is pretty damn good. If you ask me, it's definitely good enough to beat guys with great structure. So, again, huge congratulations to Tyler Johnson on a huge win at the Indy Pro, going back to back. And I know he's going to be going for a 3rd win here at the Orlando Pro this upcoming weekend. So The USA Tour continues for Tyler Johnson. And our next show that we're going to recap is the Muscle Contest Ireland Pro. So before we jump into that, make sure you guys, if you guys haven't already, follow me on Instagram here. It's CPC Bodybuilding. Now, we got the Muscle Contest Ireland Pro. So this was our top 3 right here. So we had Paul Canoe from the United States there on the far left, Zhivko Petkov in the middle, and Herman Pastor. That was a pretty clear top 3. They were that final call out, and final or first call out. There were only 6 guys in the show. It was a pretty small show, but I mean, Zhivko held down center for the entirety of this call out. So I think it was pretty clear from the get-go that he was going to win this show. So he ended up taking it home. This is his first pro win, and he's going to go to the Olympia this year. Very excited for him. I mean, I've said it for probably a year now, ever since Valentin Petrov decided he was going to move on to 212. Like, this is the next guy up from Bulgaria. So very excited to see what Zhivko can bring to the Olympia. But we'll get into the placings as well. So Paul actually had the placings right here and some footage from finals. If we go right here. So again, Zhivko Petkov won this show. Paul got second place. Paul Canoe, this is just a warm-up show for him. He plans on doing Dubai here in about 4 weeks. Then we had Herman Pastor place in third here. He's one of those guys who's won so many pro shows, been to the Olympia a bunch of times, but I think right now he's just been competing so much, he might need to shut it down for a little bit, but we'll see if he keeps going. And then in 4th place, we had Florian Hartledge from Germany. In 5th, Florin Dogaru out of Romania. And in 6th, Andre Gerstner out of Germany. So the Muscle Contest Ireland was an awesome show, even though it was a smaller lineup. But, you know, if we look at the scorecard right here, it was clear, very clear-cut scores across the board, unanimous scoring from the judges. So we didn't really have any people like swapping places in the judges' minds, and no split decisions whatsoever. Everything was just, you know, straight 1s, straight 2s, straight 3s, etc., all the way through 6th place here, as you can see with the scorecard. So pretty straightforward show. And, you know, congrats to Zhivko Petkov on a big win there. And then our last pro show of this past weekend was the Serpro Cup, held in Argentina, so held in Buenos Aires. So I didn't know this, but so I was familiar with CABA, the acronym. I had no idea what it stood for, but apparently Buenos Aires is autonomous from Argentina. So it's technically not in Argentina. It's its own thing. It's its own country. But anyways, Serpro Cup went to the Brazilian phenom, only 22 years old, Gabriel Goncalves. I think that's his name. Yeah, I want to make sure I say it right. Gabriel Gonçalves Pereira. So huge congrats to him. Like, this kid is phenomenal. Lots of muscle, very dense, like carved out type of muscle here. Structurally, I think he probably needs more in the lats, and that's just nitpicking, but dude's got a great physique. He's only 22, guys. He hasn't been bodybuilding that long either. I think he just turned pro like a year or so ago. So going to be making his Olympia debut this year, which is really, really exciting. We'll get into the placings too. So they haven't dropped any show photos yet. I've really just been going off of what is on Instagram. So here in 2nd place, we had Danny Basarena out of Argentina, who I kind of saw this coming. Not a lot of people were really talking about this kid before the show. I don't know if he's dropped any photos here, but this guy was fantastic. Let's see. Like, this kid structurally is so gifted. Let's see if we got any tagged photos here. But this kid was phenomenal. Yeah, we don't have anything. We just go through his story. but structurally, like, this kid is nuts. Just huge lats, absolutely massive lats. This kid's got great width. He can pose. Just structurally very, very gifted. He reminds me of like a 70s era type of bodybuilder. Just fantastic. And then in third place, we had what's his name? We had Felizardo. So this is Rogerio Felizardo out of Brazil. So basically, if you guys watch the prediction video, one of these guys was not able to compete because he got his contract in late. If you just slid that guy out from the winner's spot, it was basically what I predicted, across the board. And then we had Julio Perez there in fifth place. And then we had Andre Formiga out of Brazil, who was in fourth right there. So this was our top four. This is so basically 3 Brazilians and an Argentinian. So again, the Brazilian domination in classic physique just continues. Lots of talent there. And they seem to just be dominating these South American shows. It's generally like a 2-country race in most of these South America shows. It's Colombia and Brazil in virtually every single show. And this show is no different, except the one Argentinian guy there in second place. You can see what I mean. So Danny Basarena there in second. He only lost to Gabriel by a point. So this was a pretty close show too, guys. He only lost by a point to Gabriel there on his left. Structurally, he is very, very impressive. Very classic with his posing too. So those are the results from the Sur Pro Cup. And again, congrats to Gabriel Gonçalves Pereira on a huge win, his first pro win at just 22 years old, going to be making his Olympia debut. So those are the shows that we had in store from this past weekend. Those are all the recaps. Now let's see what we got on the schedule for this upcoming weekend after Independence Day here in the United States. So we got one American show. We've got the Orlando Pro. So this is actually held at the same venue that the Olympia has been held at in the past, the Orange County Convention Center there in Orlando. Got Classic and Bikini. So this will be a pretty exciting show. I do know we're going to have 2 of the top 4 competitors from the Indy Pro jumping into this show. So we got Tyler Johnson, who won the show, and Andre Oliveira, who was in 4th there at the Indy Pro, jumping into the Orlando Pro, plus plenty of other top-notch classic competitors, some of which I cannot name, but you're going to get the lineup here later tonight anyways. So more shows. So we got the Huangji China Pro on Sunday. So this is going to have classic, classic physique, men's physique, and bikini. And again, this is going to be on Sunday. Probably going to feature a lot of Asia's best. Then we've also got the Mr. Big Evolution Pro, which is always one of the biggest shows in all of Europe. Usually brings out some great talent from Europe. So that's also going to be on Sunday, July 7th. So stay tuned for that one. They typically have a live stream and really good footage along with that. So I'll be dropping all the links to these if you guys want to watch the show. But that is going to do it for this edition of This Week in Classic Physique. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Before we get out of here, make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel for the algorithm. Follow me on Instagram. CPC Bodybuilding is the tag. And that's going to do it, guys. I'm Brant, signing out. Make sure you guys keep it classic. I'll see you later.